Welcome back, guys. This is part 2 of episode 1 of Elantris. We just finished up Raoden's chapter and our segment, What Did He Say? And we're jumping straight into Serene's chapter.
Straight into Serene's chapter. Chapter 2.
Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, this is your spoiler warning. This episode, we talk about themes from the Stormlight Archive, Mistborn, and Mistborn Secret History. So if you haven't read those books, this is your spoiler warning. Thanks.
Again, the Aeon right at the beginning of Serene's chapter is once again Aeon.
Which you're like, wait, but it's chapter 2. It's not first. But it is the first time we are seeing this POV of Serene. So it still fits.
Still fits. And one thing, if you've only read through Elantris once, one thing you might not have noticed is Brandon does a perfect rotation through the vast majority of this book of Raoden, Sarene, Hrathen. Those are our 3 POV characters, and they go
In
chapter.
Yeah. Until we obviously hit the Sanderlanche. Then it's fair game for anyone.
Pretty much. And we will be going over one set of POV each week. Obviously, this week we're introducing a lot more, and so it's going to be longer. That's why this is split into 2 parts. Next week's episode will probably only be 1 part, and we'll probably get through all 3 chapters within that first hour or so.
Yep. So, as usual, Brandon begins the chapter with a banger line. Says, Serene stepped off the ship to discover that she was a widow, which maybe slightly less banger.
Less banger than what was it? Raoden, Prince Raoden of Erelon awoke early that morning, completely unaware that he had been damned for all eternity.
Yeah.
Hard line.
So this one's a little less hard.
But still an intriguing.
Still good. Still hooked us.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still like, what's this?
Who's Serene?
And why is she a widow?
That's all the questions I got.
Why is she off a ship?
So in Serene, we see Aeon Ini. We already talked about that. It means wit and cleverness, which describes Serene to a T.
Yep. We very quickly learn that she was engaged to Prince Raoden.
Who we just met.
She is now a widow because he has, quote unquote, died.
Yes. Now, they don't tell Serene that he has become an Elantrian.
Mm-mm.
They tell her that he has died.
Yep. So that is the story that the king is going to stick to. He obviously doesn't want anyone to find out that the crowned prince is now Elantrian.
There's a lot of stigma around Elantris and Elantrians since the Riode because they did worship these people as gods. And 10 years ago, when the Riode hit and everybody fell and all the power of Elantris, went away, it was chaos and catastrophe. And so since then, and even before then, there was some stigma because King Iadon didn't want to take Raoden to go be healed. So there was obviously already something there.
Yeah.
Having fallen has made things even worse.
Yep. So she goes on to just say that she was engaged to Raoden, and then we learn that she was in a contract.
Yeah.
That basically stated if either of the two died, then the engagement is basically like fulfilled and they are married now. Now, this is because Serene is the princess of Teod, the country that's just north of Erelon. And this engagement and marriage was
political.
It was political. They were doing it for a treaty.
Because Fjordell has taken over Duladel.
Yep.
And that was a big, thing. Teod and Erelon are now the last free states from Fjordell rule.
Yeah.
And they've been kind of standoffish to each other for many, many years.
Yep.
And so Serene kind of cooked up this whole marriage contract to create this bond in between Fjordell and Teod and Erelon, so that they can withstand Fjordell.
Correct. So, she's talking to her own Sion, which is named Ash, which means light or illumination.
And again, this is where our audiobook narrator definitely like says this wrong because
Yeah.
he names him Sion Ash.
Yep.
But as we know with the pronunciation of Aeons, it should be 2 syllables, so it'd actually be Sion Ashi.
Yeah.
But we're gonna call him Ash.
Yeah, because I'm not saying Aishi every time I mention her Sion.
But Ashi means light or
Light
illumination.
or illumination. And fun fact, there is only one Sion for every Aeon. So the reason the Aeons, or the reason the Sions are named after Aeons is one, in the middle of their glowing ball of light, you can faintly see a Aeon.
Okay.
And it's also fine that they name them after that Aeon because there's only one. So there's only one Sion that has the Aeon Ash in the middle. And so they typically just name the Sion after the Aeon that is in the center of them.
Interesting.
Yep. So we then learn that it takes Sarene 5 days to cross the Sea of Fjorden.
Which is the sea in between Erelon and
Yeah, which I thought was interesting because later in the book, I think Raoden says it takes 4 days rather than 5.
Okay.
Just a little...
I mean, Raoden's father is a merchant. Maybe he's got faster vessels.
Sure. But Teod is also known for, like, their ships, their armada.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's their big thing.
Yeah, you're right.
So you would think that Teod has the fastest ships, but it's neither here nor there. Just an interesting thing. Yep. So they go on. They're talking about the clause in the treaty that basically means Sarene is still married to Raoden, even though there was no wedding.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good and bad. It's good because the whole purpose of the marriage was for the contract or the treaty between Teod and Erelon. So that will still be in effect. Sarene is now considered a princess of Erelon.
Yep.
Heir to Raoden's
throne.
Not necessarily throne, but his estate.
Sure.
And so but she can't remarry.
No.
In order to uphold this contract, she can't remarry.
Yep.
And they don't pass the throne to women in this country. It's
not like
she's gonna inherit.
No.
But she is heir to Raoden's estate.
Yep. So they go back and forth a bit about that clause, and then we get Sarene, the first little hint that she starts to become suspicious around Raoden's quote unquote death. And she wants to go see the casket. She wants to confirm with her eyes that her fiance is dead.
Yes. She's never met Raoden before.
No.
But they have communicated. One thing that Sions can do is they can do instant communication across long distances.
Yeah.
So if you have a Sion and somebody else has a Sion, basically the Sion can transform into that person's face. Their Sion will transform into your face, and you can talk, and the Sions will imitate your features, your voice, and you can communicate. So she's talked with him through Sion, but never met him in person.
Magic FaceTime.
Pretty much.
Yep. So, they've talked magic FaceTime, but never in person. So she's wanting to go see the casket, and the attendant that came to pick her up is kind of just like, oh, the king wanted us to bring you straight to him. And we see just a slight intro to how Sarene is going to be basically this whole book undermining the king, being like, well, then we won't take long at the funeral tent.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, we're going. Like, she's a princess. She's accustomed to getting her way, but she's also good at getting her way. It's not necessarily like even that she's just accustomed to it. She's just good at getting what she wants.
She knows how to get what she wants.
Yes. Wit and cleverness.
So they arrive at the funeral tent, and she's surveying it with a critical eye, looking for anything to prove that Raoden's not dead.
But everything's above reproach.
Yeah.
They've got the ritual sacrifice. They've got the casket. It's marked up in Aeons.
Yep. Aeons meaning hope and peace, which the Aeon for hope is AT or ATI? AT?
AT.
Either way. And I actually couldn't find an Aeon for peace.
Me neither.
So it either isn't recorded based off whatever it, like Brandon hasn't drawn it up, I guess. So no Aeon for peace, but there could also be an Aeon like Ate or Eta. That means like grace. I think that's kind of
Might fit
fitting.
there.
You know, there's
Yeah, I thought they probably have Aeon Reo on the casket as well as
Sure.
Raoden's casket.
yep. And it mentions how it's surrounded by a ring of lavish foods, which I highlighted and had a little note saying like quite the difference to his tiny basket
Yeah.
he gets.
Yeah, the actual offering that they give the deceased versus what they give the Elantrians.
And well, he is the crowned prince, so I'm sure this is a bit more than
True.
what normal people get. But we come to learn that Raoden was very liked.
Yeah, that
with
was
the
one
people.
thing that Serene noted is that the tent was packed.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, like, there's so many people here. That's the one thing that she felt was odd about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because she's there looking for something.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like, this place is packed. And we get that first intro of like, yes, the prince was very well liked.
Yep. And so she goes up to a priest and goes, can I see him? Because the casket is closed. And the priest basically says, I'm sorry, but the prince's disease was disfiguring and the king would, wanted him to be allowed dignity in death,
Right.
which is just like suspicious.
Yeah.
Which like I'm with Serene here.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
little suspicious. But
But it's a good enough reason.
Good enough
for the king
reason.
to be like, we want him to have dignity in death. He was disfigured, and that's not the image that we want lasting in people's minds.
Yep, and we learn that he supposedly died of the coughing shivers, which
Is apparently a disfiguring disease.
could have fooled me,
I wouldn't have known it by the name, but
No. And then Serene just keeps like being like, this is weird. Like the king's not here, the queen's not here. Raoden was a healthy man with vigor. He was youthful. How could he have died?
I talked to him 5 days ago
ago.
before I got on the ship. I don't know why she didn't talk to him on the ship. That's my thought. I don't know if Sion's like, because you think about fabrials and they have to remain like, you can't use a fabrial. We're talking Roshar now. Sorry, I'm just like we said, everything is on the table here. If we have knowledge of the Cosmere, it is up for discussion and debate.
Mm.
So if you're talking about linked fabrials on Roshar, you can't use like one on land and one on a ship because the movement of the ship itself will disrupt the other fabrial.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Sion's kind of function that same way where they have to like be stationary in order to link with their other Sion. Just a thought.
Yeah, maybe because I don't think we ever see like a moving Sion that's on a magic FaceTime.
Right.
So it could be. I probably think that Serene meant for her arrival to be a surprise. She arrived
That's true.
a week early, so maybe if the Sion copied like the sounds that are around her as well.
I don't think they do, but there's also like I'm asking the question of if she meant for her thing to be a surprise, how often were they talking?
Yeah.
It must not have been like every day.
Yeah,
Because
no.
it would have been suspicious to Raoden
That
go
she
5
didn't
days
call,
without. Yeah. So
I actually think they do the sound around them because when this happens way later in the book, but Deloff kidnaps Serene after he's like starting to take over Erelon. He kidnaps Serene and calls King Iadon and is like, I have your daughter, kind of like a ransom thing.
Hey guys, Jake from the future with a quick correction. Here, I kept saying King Iadon, but what I really meant was King Eventio, Serene's actual father, who was NTO'd. Thanks. Back to the pod.
And Serene says something in the back, and King Iadon's head looks over as if to see Serene there, even though he can't. So I do think that the Sions probably pick up the surrounding noise. So could be either way.
Yeah. Just a non-essential topic that we're deep diving into.
Yeah. So, she's then like, okay, let's go see the king. And is in the carriage on her way to the castle, palace. I don't think we ever get.
I think palace.
It says palace, yes. So she's on the way to the palace, and she also notices Elantris. She also shivers,
Yep.
just like Raoden, but I don't think it's from cold. I think it's because Elantris is creepy to them. So, and then she notices a group of Karathi priests taking someone dressed in white, like leading them towards the city.
Yes.
Which could be
Marishi, which was the one that came in to Elantris 2 days after Raoden.
Yes.
Or it could be the woman that came in the day after Raoden.
Yes.
But it's probably one of those two. Because they're still, Raoden's still in the tent. I don't know how long they wait. I know she asked Ash.
He doesn't give a...
He doesn't know.
Answer.
Yeah, he doesn't know. She asks him how long Aerolines customarily wait between a person's death and their burial. He's not sure, but I can't imagine,
it's that long.
It's that long. So I imagine it's either Marishi or the woman who came in. So she's probably there a day or two after
Raoden gets taken.
Yeah.
In my head, it's Marishi.
Okay.
And if they ever make this into a movie or TV show or whatever, it better be Marishi. Okay. I just like that. I like that connection. Yep. And then she starts talking about kind of the buildings.
Okay.
Around in Kai. And she's talking about how you wouldn't be able to tell that Kai was in like
economic hardship.
Yes, economic hardship by the houses.
Regression.
Yeah.
Recession. Regression.
Kind of samesies.
Yeah. Yeah, she says Kai reflected none of the economic hardship Erelon was supposed to be suffering. Now, Erelon is supposed to be suffering economic hardship because 10 years ago, the Riode happened, and pre-Riode, Elantrians made most of the necessities for Erelon.
Yeah.
They could make food, they could make, lumber, clothes, whatever.
Yeah.
They could basically make anything. They had a contract with the Merchant Guild to not, overmake super valuable items.
Yep.
So the merchants typically dealt in higher end, high value items as opposed to daily necessities. Yep. And so when Elantris fell and they no longer had that, they didn't have the infrastructure and system to support a country. And so it's been, 10 years now trying to get that figured out.
Yep. And then she's talking with Ash a little bit about Fjorden and how they basically invaded the Duloden Republic, and that's why they need this treaty so much. And yeah, she goes on to talk about the Riode a little bit and why, no one was certain that the effects that happened to the Elantrians wouldn't spread.
Right. So
that most other countries outside of Erelon kind of avoided Erelon, because they were worried that, they would start, what happened to the Elantrians would start happening to them.
Right.
But it's been 10 years now, and they're fairly certain that's not going to happen. So now there's the threat of the Fjordell Empire coming in.
Right. And as she's, going through all this, she's thinking about, her being widowed now, all of this happening to her. And we see Sarene's inner voice come out a little bit, because we saw Raoden's pessimistic side that he doesn't really show anybody.
Yeah.
Sarene outwardly is typically very forthright, witty, clever, and focused on a goal.
Yeah.
And inside, we see her inner voice, and she's frustrated. She's like, "How dare you die on me, Prince of Erelon?" And then she reminds herself, she says, "You've been lonely before. You'll get through it. Just find something to occupy your mind. You have an entire new court to explore. Enjoy it." So we see a little bit of the, inner optimism of
Yeah.
Sarene that was kind of in contrast to Raoden's inner voice.
Yep. And then she is at the palace and she's meeting her new father, the King Iadon of Arelon. And he's basically ignoring her.
Yeah, she stands at the back of the court
Yeah.
for a while.
I think it says like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And she notices that Iadon did not look like a man mourning the passing of his son and heir, which just is feeding into the suspicion that Raoden's not dead.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And she goes on to say, in her head, she's wondering curiously if Iadon is a heartless man or whether he simply is one who knows how to control his emotions, which is actually confirmed later in the book that Iadon is very good at hiding his emotions and putting on a strong face.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but I would also argue that Iadon's kind of a heartless man.
Both can be true.
And we also know that Iadon's relationship with Raoden was strange to say the least. That Raoden and Iadon didn't see eye to eye on most things.
Yeah.
And Iadon almost maybe even viewed Raoden as a competitor to the throne because Raoden was so much more well liked than Iadon was.
Yeah. Yep. And so he's the king's holding court, and it takes him 15 minutes to even notice that she's there, and
it does say she doesn't mind the wait because she is somebody who likes to observe and watch and pick up little things. So she's just content doing that. She is a little affronted because she's a princess.
Yes.
Even not being the princess of Arelon now, she's a princess of Teod. And so she's used to being important.
Yep. And so he finally sees her and waves her over. And the first thing he says to her is, "No one told me you'd be so tall," which is just like rude. Like this is this is your new daughter.
Yeah.
And you know, are meeting her instead of saying like, "Hello, like I'm Iadon," you know, pleasantries. He goes, "Dang, you're tall, girl," you know? Like,
oh man.
And it kind of throws her off a little bit. She's like, "My lord? Like, excuse me?"
And his response is just like, "Well, I guess the only person who would have cared about that is dead." So
it's just like, holy cow.
Dude, calm down a little bit.
Which he then calls over Ishen. Yeah, Ishen. And she has the Aeon Ishi in her name, which means gift or endowment. Which, like, sure, she's kind of a gift.
Yeah, she's special for sure.
And he snapped at her, and he was like, "Take this one to her rooms and see that she has plenty of things to keep her occupied, embroidery or whatever else it is that entertains you women." Wow. 1, 2. Wow. This is the queen.
Yeah.
This isn't some like maid or servant. He is talking like this to the queen,
who's also his wife.
Who is also his wife. Yes.
Do you get to talk to your wife like that?
Not even a little bit. I would be about as dead as Raoden right now if I talked to my wife like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that gives us a little insight into kind of how things are, because this isn't abnormal. This is not just King Iadon or just who he is. The women are not seen as
people?
Equals.
Sure.
I won't say not seen as people, but they're not seen as equals to the men. But especially in King Iadon's eyes, they're just like frivolities.
Yeah. Yep. So the queen then takes Sarene and leads her off to basically her room.
And as they're going, she will not stop talking.
No. The queen is a chatterbox, and she will just jump from thing to thing, kind of like how we are when we're theorizing.
Yeah.
When we're deep in the copper mine, we'll be like researching one thing and we'll see something else. We'll be like, oh, this is interesting. And then we'll click on the link and go to another page. So I kind of relate with the queen. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Fair enough. But Sarene just notices that she's just jumping from topic to topic to topic to topic, not really like breathing in between these statements.
Yeah.
And Sarene, she's like nodding along. She says she's fascinated, but it was interesting. She said, not by the conversation, but by the queen. And again, that's just Sarene. Like, she just loves observing people and like who people are. And like, she pays more attention to how people say things than what they're saying, you know?
Yeah.
And so she finally realizes there's a topic that the queen's avoiding, which is Hrathen's death, you know? And so Sarene is like, she's like,
so she gets a little suspicious again.
Yes.
And she's kind of like, why are we avoiding this? It's just,
which I can relate with the queen here. If there is an uncomfortable topic that I don't want to talk about, I will also
ramble on
and jump from topic to topic, trying to find anything to talk about, but not landing on anything long enough to talk about it, trying to avoid that topic.
Yep. And so they make it to the room, and the queen's showing her new wardrobe, and there's a lot of black. And Serene's like, what the heck? Like black? And the queen's kind of like, you're in... And Sarene realizes that she's in mourning.
Yes.
So in this culture, when your spouse dies, you're expected to wear black for a certain amount of time and, you know, not go out into, you know...
I don't know. So, I mean...
Like, you're just expected to be mourning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was trying to, like, hand it off to you, but that's okay.
Oh, hey, my bad.
We're good here.
We're moving on?
Moving on.
Okay.
I think so.
We see the queen leaves, right? And Sarene kind of has to push her out the door, like, because the queen just keeps talking. She's talking about the roses. She's talking about the windows. She's talking about, like, clothing. And Serene's just, like, leading her to the door and just, like, pushes her out the door and closes the door, basically.
Yeah.
And then she's talking to her Sion, and she says, the Sion says, they consider it extremely ill-omened for the prince to die so soon before he was to be married. Sarene, with her wit, says, especially for him, and then goes on to say, Ash, something strange is going on. I think maybe somebody killed the prince. And that's where we see the first, like, blatant, this is Serene's suspicion.
Yeah.
She doesn't suspect that he's still alive.
Yeah.
She thinks somebody killed him.
Yeah. But she thinks he was murdered rather than dying of the coughing shivers.
Yes.
Sort of thing. And she mainly suspects the king.
Yes.
For the most part.
She does talk to, while she's like fleshing out this theory with her Sion, Ash, she talks about like the queen and how she doesn't seem like she's mourning the loss of her son. Yeah. And he does mention like, that's not Ishen's son. He's like, the king remarried, you know, right after the Reod, because his wife, Raoden's mom, died like 2 years before the Reod.
Yes. So it kind of makes a little more sense on why Ishen wouldn't be mourning as much.
Right.
Which, like,
fine.
Sure.
But also, was like, you've been his mom for 10 years.
He was your stepson for close to 10 years, if not 10 years.
And do we know how old, I mean, we know Serene's 25. Do we know how old Raoden is? I imagine they're similar in age.
Because we get a part where he gets taken to Elantris. I think he was like 9?
I think 8.
8 or 9 in there. I don't think it mentions how long before the Reod it was, so I don't think we get a solid.
Okay.
But
we can imagine. I think he might even be younger than Sarene.
He could be. I
feel like he would be married if he was Serene's age. So in Serene's culture, in Tio, most girls are at least engaged by 18.
Yep.
If not already married. And so she's like old. Like,
yeah. She's an oddity.
Yes. So she's 25, unmarried because nobody wanted her, basically. That sounds awful to say it like that. But that's how she puts it.
Yeah.
So she's unmarried at 25 and feels like a spinster. And so we can kind of imagine that Raoden's probably around a similar age, which means Ishen was his stepmom when he was like 15. Which means she still...
I saw him grow.
Yeah, I saw him grow, like raised him
Yeah.
into adulthood, So
So,
you would
anyways.
still expect a little bit of remorse.
Yep. So, Sarene, then calls her father.
Yes.
And I think it's interesting. Her father calls her Lecky Stick. And it's borrowing the name of a tall, thin post that marked the goal line in his favorite sport.
Right.
And I was like, favorite sport, huh? So there's like multiple sports in this on sale. And so I did some research. I dove into the copper mine, and it only spat out what we've seen on screen. So like dueling and fencing can be a sport. And then I guess, I don't know if we actually see this on screen, but it also mentions archery as a popular, sport on sale. So those are the only three. So it seems
so we don't actually know what sport uses
a Lecky stick?
A goalpost Lecky stick.
No, there's nothing to explain the, rules of whatever sport.
Jacob really wanted to know how.
I did. I thought it was interesting. I was like, did Brandon create a sport? Similar to like how J.K. Rowling created Quidditch. I thought it would be like a cool thing to look into and like explain the rules of. But no, there's nothing there. So Lecky stick from whatever sport is
a goalpost from a sport.
Brandon, flesh out the sport, dude. We got I want to play it when we go to like conventions. There should be like a Lecky stick field that people can go play whatever sport this is, That'd be lit.
I want you to create a sport and submit it to Brandon for him to canonize.
Brandon, if you ever invite us to one of your conventions, I will do that. if you're gonna like invite us, put us on like a panel or whatever, I am building out this Lecky stick sport. And you're going to have to canonize it. Those are my demands. I don't know. I don't
know. So yeah, Sarene gets in. She's calling her dad King Eventio of Teod. We see that Aeon twice right there. Teo.
Yep, which means royal or majestic.
Yes, sir. And pretty accurate for King Eventio, I think. I think he is pretty, he's kind of your...
classic king.
Classic king. We know that he kind of usurped the throne.
Yes, which almost plays into more of the classic king trope.
A little bit.
He was the younger brother out of the two. So he had an elder brother who
traveled.
What?
Traveled a lot.
Yes. His younger brother traveled a lot. His older brother traveled a lot. Thank you. And we'll actually meet him fairly soon, the older brother. But as the older brother traveled, King Eventio kind of, I would assume, sowed seeds to make it that he would take the throne rather than his brother.
Right. So yeah, just kind of plays into the typical king trope, gets royal, majestic, and then...
So they magic FaceTime.
Yes.
And she assumes that her father is using Aeon Dio as the Sion, which means Dio or Dio means steadfast or immovable.
Yep.
Which kind of I wouldn't say that any of the Sions really connect with or fit the person.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I feel like Sions are they fit their the Aeons of Co and Eon very well. But I don't think their individual Aeon really has much effect on who they are.
No, but I will say that, I think it is proper for a king to have the Aeon, Sion, steadfast or immovable. That feels very kingly.
I like it.
Yeah. And they start talking about it, and she drops the bomb that her fiance's dead.
Yeah.
And her dad's just this girl can't catch a break. She's been like denied by every eligible man in our homeland. He doesn't say all this, but I know he's thinking it. And she finally caught a break to like get married to someone.
Yeah.
And
he knew that she had really like convinced herself that she could love Raoden.
Yeah. And then he dies. So
Unfortunate.
poor Sarene. So he's kind of like, you can come home. Like, we'll break the treaty.
Yeah.
And she's like, no.
Can't.
We
Because
can't.
she really is the one who set this up. It wasn't even Eventio's idea. It was Serene's idea from the get-go, because she's like a political creature and has been very involved in the courts. She knows what's going on in the world. She knows, and she's very devout in her religion to the point that like doesn't want anything to do with Shudira.
Yes.
And so doesn't want the Fjordan Empire to take over her homeland.
Yep. So she's talking with the king, and she kind of is thinking in her head, and I marked down these lines because they're wrong.
Oh yeah?
What she's saying is wrong. She's basically going on about how she like won't ever get to meet Raoden, like this person that he was such a compassionate man, and like I was so anxious to meet him. And she says, and now I never will.
Yeah.
Which I just wrote wrong.
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 You're wrong.
You're gonna meet him in like a month.
Yeah.
Maybe a month and a half.
Yeah.
Yep. About a month and a half.
Is it?
Yep. So she's just wrong there. Sorry, Sarene. I know you don't like to be wrong, but you're wrong. And I thought this was interesting because I guess it's just not very clear on how this magic FaceTime works. But she has a tear rolling down her cheek as she's talking about all this.
Yes.
And she was glad that the Sion transferred only her features so that her father didn't see this tear rolling down her cheek.
Which is so interesting to me.
Like, would it? Because I feel like it would.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I just feel like that's part of your features.
Yeah.
But I guess not.
I guess not. Right? Who knows? It's magic FaceTime. It's complex.
Yeah. But yeah, he eventually goes to go get her mother, and he says she's going to faint dead away when I tell her you've already killed off poor Raoden.
It was just funny. Like,
glad we can make light of it already.
Yeah,
It's day one. We just found out 3 hours ago that my husband's dead, and now we're making jokes about it. So glad we reached that point.
Right before then, I just wanted to say, King Iadon mentions a guy named Minister Naolin.
Okay.
Neo, I couldn't find.
Oh.
I couldn't find an Aeon for Neo, but like that sounds like
it's got to be like it.
There has to
feels
be
like there's an Aeon.
I searched the copper.
I
searched all the places and I couldn't find one for Neo or Ole, like OLE, which would be the other possible Aeon in there. But I also just wrote down who?
Yeah,
because this guy gets name dropped, but we never meet him and he never comes up again. And then her dad makes a joke about how she is going to overthrow the monarch.
Monarchy.
He says, in a month, telling me that King Iadon has run off to join the Karathi monastery and the Aerolines have named you monarch instead. And she says, I'll wait at least 2 months, which is also incorrect. I believe she overthrows him a little after a month in.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just said it's 6 weeks until she's gonna meet Raoden, and she meets Raoden when she's delivering food.
Okay.
So if that's 6 weeks away, then it really is.
Yes.
I really think she...
I forgot about when she was doing that. I thought meeting Raoden as she got thrown into Elantris. So I just
okay.
It just skipped over my head that she meets Spirit Raoden before that.
Right. So, because don't the monks of Duckcore come early? Because it was supposed to be 3 months.
They come at 2 months.
At 2 months.
Yes.
Okay. So she doesn't wait quite. I don't think it's I think he gets overthrown right before
she gets thrown in. Because she gets taken by the Sheod,
right?
Not actually, but right after he unenlives himself,
right?
Because she, showed that he was part of the mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, we're getting way ahead of ourselves on just the timeline.
Yes,
it's about a month and a half, maybe a little less.
Okay,
That's on.
Either way, she's wrong. She didn't.
Either way, she didn't wait 2 months. She lied to her father. What a terrible daughter, And then, he goes off and gets the wife and makes a joke and blah, blah, blah. And that's the end of Sarene's chapter.
That's Sarene. That's the introduction to Sarene. She's from Teod, daughter to King of Entio, widowed wife of Prince Raoden.
Yeah. Love her.
Love her. Love Sarene to death.
Great character. Moving on. Okay, chapter 3. This is going to be our first Hrathen chapter.
Oh, I love Hrathen.
The Aeon is, of course, if you're going to see the pattern, Aeon.
This is our first POV for Hrathen.
So nothing to really talk about there. Can I just say, I think Hrathen deserves more flowers. I think if, spoiler, Hrathen lived after the end of this book, he would have became a big character.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get into it as we get further in, but Hrathen's transformation throughout this book makes me believe that he would revive the father religion.
Of Shukisei.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
There's some stuff he says that is he's talking about Shukisei. But we'll get into that in the future.
One thing that is interesting is we could might.
What, you think he comes back as a cognitive shadow or what?
We could get a cognitive shadow of Hrathen. I don't think we will.
No, I don't think Hrathen was invested in that.
There is precedent. I don't think we will, but there is precedent. Kelsier was also not invested enough and still managed to, while passing through the cognitive realm, become invested enough.
Right.
And we know that the door is just sitting in the cognitive realm.
Holy cow. Do you think everyone who dies is just cognitive shadows?
I don't think everybody, but
I guess they have to make a choice.
Yes, I do think there is a possibility. Brandon could.
Holy cow.
I don't think he will.
I would
but
love
he could.
I'm not going to lie.
Hrathen is one of my favorite characters.
A lot of people hate the trope of this person died, but actually they're still alive.
Yeah.
For certain characters, I hope for it.
Kelsier's one of them.
Kelsier was obviously one of them.
I don't know.
I would love if Hrathen came back as a cognitive shadow.
I would too. I was thinking more along the lines of Dalinar.
No.
I just don't think I wanted to see that. I think I wanted Dalinar's end to be Dalinar's end. And in a way it was, but then they brought the Blackthorn in as a cognitive shadow. I'm just not excited for that.
I am. I love the Blackthorn Unleashed is going to be a terror.
On Team Odium.
On
Team Retribution.
Yes. We're in the wrong world right now. Hrathen.
Back to Hrathen.
Okay.
Another banger line to start off this chapter.
Yeah. So Hrathen is a priest from Fjorden. And Fjordell, I think.
So I'm pretty sure the country is Fjordell. The people... No, sorry. Switch it. The country is Fjorden. The people are Fjordell.
Okay. But he doesn't have an Aeon in his name because the people of Fjordell or Fjorden, they don't agree with the Elantrians and the Aeons.
Well, not even just they don't agree with. Aeonic is like based in Erelon. It's based on the geography of Erelon.
Yes.
It was never intended for anywhere outside of there. And for those of you who don't know, the Shard of Dominion was picked up by Aeona, who obviously has
Devotion.
Sorry, devotion. My bad. The Shard of Devotion was picked up by Aeona, who obviously has the Aeon in her name, meaning first. But it also means language.
Yep.
And her influence is felt more in Erelon, and Dominion's influence is felt more in Fjorden.
Yeah, in the east. So
it makes sense that there is no Aeon.
We get another banger line to start off the chapter. It goes, none of Erelon's people greeted their savior when he arrived.
And that just gives us such an insight into how Hrathen views himself. Because this is Hrathen's thoughts.
Yep.
You know? And he really does. He's a devout believer in his religion, and he thinks that he is saving these people. That is his goal.
He's so devout that he considers everything in Erelon to be heretical and even godless, he says. Okay. Which I was like, I mean, they have their own god, Domai and the Karathi religion, but he's so devout to Shudirith that I don't think he even considers Domai as a god.
Right.
Like, he thinks these people are godless.
Yep.
Okay. He name drops his god here, which is Holy Yadith. It's spelled with a J, but Words of Brandon has confirmed that it's pronounced with a Y. It's Yadith.
Yadith. The audiobook reader got that one wrong, and we will be saying Yadith here because it just sounds better in the language.
Yeah, it's very Derethi. It's more Derethi to say Yadith than Jadith. Jadith is your bro,
What's up, bro?
Oh, Jadith, bro. Come over and bang some brewskis, So, no, I really like Yadith to be, the Derethi god. So he name drops, the god of their religion. And so he also has arrived on a ship to Erelon.
Yes.
So we are all of our POVs are in Erelon, and even more, all of our POVs are in Kai, the city, or Elantris.
Yes.
So we're very zoomed in here. The rest of the world, it don't matter. This is where we are. Kai and Elantris, okay?
Yes.
So he
going down a little bit.
Yep.
It talks about the Cyclan continent, which again is the name for the continent that the people in the east give it, is Cycla.
So
and then Opilon is the other name. It says, of the Cyclan continent, only Erelon itself had avoided coming under the dominion of the Fjordell Empire.
Which I just wrote Teod?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a little oversight there, Brandon. You literally have already written another country that has not come under the Fjordell Empire.
Except I think it had before, because the Fjordell Empire was big before something happened. Like they had already, the armies of the Fjordell Empire had dominated most of the continent, and then they fell and people regained a lot of their independence, and now it's the religion of the Fjordell Empire that is going back and reconquering, but they had already conquered a lot of the continent. So I wonder if at that point Teod had, and Erelon is the only one that has never fallen under Fjordell.
Because they had the Elantrians.
Yes.
But I'm going to say I don't think so, because we know that Erelon and Teod had previously allied together against the Fjordell Empire.
Right.
That is canon. So I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say it was just
an oversight.
And
we might tell you you're wrong later in the book.
Maybe. And I'll swallow those words, but this was Brandon's first published work. he has come out and say that it wasn't his best writing.
Yeah.
So if there's small stuff like that, I think we just chalk it up to early Brandon.
Right.
Yep.
One thing I did note here is that only Erelon itself had avoided coming under the dominion of the Fjordell Empire. And I don't know that this is intentional, but dominion is the shard that fuels the power.
Their type of
yeah.
invested art.
And so when it talks about the dominion of the Fjordell Empire, it's just like, that is their intent, is dominion.
Yeah. And that also is the intent of the religion itself. Their main teaching is unity, all under one ruling, basically. Yes. So, yeah. Okay, moving on. So he's getting picked up by Kai's Derethi head Ardith. Which Ardith is part of the chain of command in Shudireth. In their teachings, they teach that only one person can serve Lord Yadith. So you have the Wyrn, who is the one person who can serve Lord Yadith. And then under the Wyrn, you have Gjorns.
Mm-hmm.
And then under them, I would have to pull up the names, but there's a couple levels until you get to Ardith, which is basically just the head of a chapel.
Yeah, so you've got the Wyrn, and then you've got a Grogdet.
Which is kind of outside the chain of command. Some of them are considered higher than Wyrn.
So it is considered to be outside of the chain because they generally don't involve themselves in matters outside of their monastery.
Yes.
So it is a leader of a monastery, is a Grogdet. And then you have Gjorn, which is the highest level.
Which is also what Hrathen is.
Yes. Hrathen is a Gjorn. There's only, I think, 20 Gjorn.
I think 20.
And then there's a Ragnat, a Grador, and an Ardeth. And then there's a Dorvin, and then there's common people.
Yep. So we're meeting the head Ardith of the chapel, the only Derethi chapel in Kai. In all of Erelon. No?
Yeah.
I think in all of Erelon. Maybe.
I think so. Because we learned that Delof was in another part of Erelon preaching, got a bunch of followers, and then when there was finally a chapel in Kai, brought them.
Yeah.
That's his story. I actually don't think that's true.
Take it with a grain of salt, because, I'm pretty sure that was a fake past.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely. Because he's a Grogdet.
He's a Grogdet of the most infamous and brutal monastery.
The monks of Dakor.
Yeah, so the Dakor monastery. So he is the leader of that monastery, which means he outranks Hrathen.
Is outranked because he's outside the chain of command. So I don't know if outranks is the right term, but
I think it is, because once Hrathen learns that he was a Grogdet.
Okay, it says Grogdets of the most powerful monasteries,
yes,
Rothor, Dakor, and Fjeldor rank above Gjorn.
Yep.
Okay.
And we know the monastery of Dakor is the monastery of Bone.
Yes.
I believe,
mm-hmm.
which we will get into when it comes up.
Dude, I love that whole story.
Yep. So
we're meeting Fionn.
The head Ardith here in Erelon. And he was like late or something, and he's like, sorry, the thing told me you're coming in on this different ship, so we're gonna have to walk because I couldn't get my carriage over here.
Yeah, he's like, I was waiting there, and I didn't realize you weren't on the ship until everybody was off the ship, and then I had to run over here. I couldn't get my carriage through, so we're walking.
Yep, and then we learn that Hrathen is wearing blood red armor and a blood red cloak.
Yep.
And I think it's kind of interesting that as they're walking through this very public place, people are saying hi to the head Ardith, and then as soon as they see Hrathen, they like go silent.
Yeah.
And Hrathen is like
disappointed.
No, he says it is as it should be.
Well, he's disappointed in Fionn.
Oh, yes.
For like because of how familiar he's become with
Yeah.
the people of Erelon.
And I just thought it was interesting because he likes that people go quiet. I think my red lights just turned off. Sorry, YouTube.
Been filming
watchers.
too long.
Um,
I got one blue one left.
that's fine. So he says it is as it should be when people like go silent when they see him. And I thought it was kind of interesting as like coming from a religious standpoint, Hrathen is basically acting as a missionary here.
Right.
And I think it's interesting that he doesn't want people to like him. Like, I feel like if you're wanting potential followers, you wouldn't want them to like fear you, you know?
Yeah, I think for him, he's looking more for respect than fear,
Mm,
or
maybe.
maybe even just deference.
Sure.
So
I feel like it's kind of odd how he's like happy that people don't want to talk to him,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, and to an extent, he considers himself above all of them.
Yeah.
Because not only like is he part of the true religion, but his religion favors his people over all other people.
Yep.
So
Very
there's
racist.
yeah. So there's like, yes, other people can be accepted by Yadith, but the Fjordells are the most accepted.
Yeah, yeah. So they get to the chapel, and he's liking the chapel. He's
He's liking
very like imposing, and is maybe the wrong word. I don't know how he describes it.
It's yeah.
But he's basically saying it is as it should be, like as a Dorethi chapel. Maybe I'm jumping ahead here.
He says majesty.
Yeah.
Says the chapel was a tall stone structure complete with bright red tapestries and towering spires. Here, at least, Hrathen found some of the majesty he was accustomed to.
There you go.
Within, however, he was confronted by a disturbing sight, a crowd of people involved in some kind of social activity. So this is a chapel where we are preaching the truth, and these people are inside just chatting.
Yeah, they're just chatting. And so he tells the head Ardith to gather his priests. And it took a frustratingly long time.
And for Hrathen, everything is to be done in like perfect order.
Yeah.
You know,
the Dorethi religion is very structured, and it's almost like militaristic.
Mhm.
So everything has an order. Everything, should happen as it should happen, according to Hrathen.
And so he's frustrated.
So he's a little angry.
Yeah, and so they get together, everybody else leaves, they get all the artists together, everybody who's like part of the Dorethi priesthood.
Yep.
And then Hrathen says to Fionn, he's like, that ship that I came in on is leaving in an hour, and you're going to be on board.
Yeah, and he's apparently we can assume that Hrathen has been speaking in Fjordell
The whole time.
rather than Aeonic or whatever
Yeah.
the language in Erelon is.
I think Aeonic is the right.
So
Ereline?
Ereline? I don't know.
No.
I think it's Aeonic.
Okay.
So he snaps at the Ardith when he's talking. He's like, "Speak Fjordell, man."
So we can assume that Hrathen's probably been speaking in Fjordell the whole time.
Yeah.
And this guy's been responding to him probably in Aeonic the whole time.
Yeah.
And he finally
Snaps.
now that he's just with the Dorethi priesthood, he's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting. I looked it up. The language of Fjordell is most similar to German,
Okay.
which I feel like makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also thought it was interesting that, like, if someone's speaking to you in a certain language, don't you feel like you would respond in the same language?
So it's actually really interesting because a lot of times it's just not. I've seen, because I've been in Hispanic households where the parents don't speak English. They don't understand, they don't speak it at all.
Yeah.
But the kids don't speak Spanish because they grew up in the United States. And so the parents will talk in Spanish, and because the kids grew up in that household, they understand Spanish, but they don't speak it. And so they will respond to the parents in English. And they will have a two-way conversation where the parents are talking in Spanish and the kids are like talking in English, and they're understanding each other, but neither one could actually speak the language that the other person's speaking.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
So I think it just is like a testament to how comfortable Fionn has become in Erelon, that like it's more natural for him to speak that language than to speak, because it is, if it is more natural for you to speak Spanish, if someone talks to you in Spanish, you're going to speak it Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so same thing here, like he must be more comfortable speaking Aeonic.
Right. And so he's kind of getting after the Ardith, and he's like, enough. Like, he's like, I have orders from Wyrn himself, which to these people, Wyrn is like it's their prophet. It is the leader of their church.
Yeah.
It is the person who
it is the direct conduit between their god and the people.
Yep. So, he's basically like, you've forgotten your calling. Like, you have to leave. So he's going to send him on the ship back to Fjorden.
Yeah.
But
one thing he says, surely 10 years among the Erling heathens hasn't corrupted you to the point that you've forgotten your native tongue. And that's just another like insight real quick into Hrathen's, like how he views the people of Erelon.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting that he mentioned, like, we're not here to teach love to the people. We're not here to love the people. We're here to help them.
Yes.
Which just kind of shows that the Shu-Dirith doesn't teach love, because that's like Shu Korath's main tenet.
Love and acceptance.
Yep. Yeah.
Because, again, Shu Korath ties more closely to devotion, which is love and like acceptance.
Everyone accepting everyone.
Yes. And so that, you just got those two that are like diametrically opposed of like, I don't know that I would say like opposed, but just different ideas.
Yeah. They take, like, unity and love, you would think, are very closely related, but I feel like the Shu-Dirith takes the part of unity that is like the furthest away from love you can get.
Yeah.
You know? So Hrathen then goes to his office, and he was disappointed by the view. Unfortunately. Sorry, Hrathen. No corner office for you. And he's taken paintings off the wall. And there was it's kind of funny. I saw this word, agrarian.
Okay.
And it says, he had cleared the walls of paintings, agrarian nature scenes for the most part. And I had assumed that agrarian was like a country or a spot on Cell. And and I did all this research. I was like diving
into the copper mine,
and I couldn't figure out what these agrarian nature scenes were.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I Googled it, and it basically just means like farming, like agriculture. It's these agriculture nature scenes.
That's hilarious.
And so I'm not joking. I spent probably 15 minutes of my life trying to figure out
where on
Cell like agraria is. I thought it was the country.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's so funny. So, agraria doesn't exist on Cell. So don't waste your time. But, so he's taking down all of these paintings, making it, again, very militaristic.
Very orderly.
Yes, he's gonna end up hanging some red drapes on the wall, and that will be like all that there is. And then Fionn comes in to talk to him.
Yep.
Because Hrathen has told Fionn, you're leaving, and Fionn was like, there's nobody here
to take my spot.
Like, none of these people have been in the religion long enough. They haven't reached a high enough level to be the head artith of this chapel. And Hrathen was like, I'm staying in Kai, and I will be taking the spot of head artith. So Fionn comes in and is very repentant. He like bows himself down as like, I'm so like, I've, sinned. And Hrathen's like, your sin was complacency.
Yeah.
And it was just like becoming too lax. And Hrathen at this time is really like gauging
Whether this man should be killed or saved, basically. He's trying to tell if this man's just too far gone from the religion that he needs to kill him, or if he can be sent back and, reformed. Which, funny wording here, stabs Hrathen in the back because, this Ardith, what is it?
Oh, you're
Bjorn?
right.
Actually comes, Fionn actually comes and stabs Hrathen in the back
As his penitence.
That's
crazy.
He gets accepted into one of the monasteries. It's the monastery for assassins. It's where they train assassins. And
Which is Rathbor, I think.
yes, and to get accepted, he has to stab a man, and they order him to go and kill Hrathen.
That's so crazy.
Which is crazy. So like, could have possibly avoided dying if Hrathen decided to kill Fionn.
Yeah, and I'm sure they would have sent somebody else after him, but that's so interesting that like Fionn is the one who like, in this moment, Hrathen shows him mercy because he's got 2 letters.
Mm-hmm.
One basically saying, hey, this man accepted, this decision and,
like, reform him.
Yeah, reform, like he can go back and serve and learn. And he's got this other letter that's like, this man is a blasphemer and should be put to death.
Yeah. He goes on to show him a letter that is from Wyrn,
written by Wyrn's own hand,
which is scripture, essentially.
Yes.
And Fjorn reads it, and it is basically like, thank you.
Yeah.
Because we learn that Hrathen has been tasked with something impossible.
Yes.
Essentially.
He's been tasked with converting the nobility of Erelon to Shudireth within the next 3 months, or the armies of Fjordell are coming in and overtaking the country.
So we have a deadline.
Yes.
In 3 months.
90 days.
In 90 days, like, Erelon and Teod go bye-bye.
Yes.
But I will say that it doesn't say the nobility. That's a distinction that Hrathen makes. It says the country of Erelon.
Yes.
Like, you have to convert the country of Erelon.
Yes. And so we later, in Hrathen's mind, further in the book, he talks about like not needing to convert all of the people, but that if the nobility bows, then the state will be seen as a Derethi state.
Yes.
Which is so like surface level to me because they've gone to other countries like the Duladin Republic and a few other places that get mentioned where they haven't converted the country. They've just converted its leaders and called it good,
And I wouldn't even say converted its leaders, basically just made an agreement that like, hey, we won't, kill everyone in your country if you say that you follow Shudireth,
pretty much.
So yeah, then Hrathen starts bringing in the priests one by one and like interviewing them, seeing who's worth keeping and who needs to be sent back.
Yes,
sort of thing.
Because Fionn's been leading this
Yeah.
chapel and has infected or corrupted all of these people.
And this is where we finally meet Dilof, which we've already talked about a little bit in this episode. But he's introduced as Ardith Dilof, which he's not an Ardith.
Right. Fionn actually gave him the title of Ardith, but nobody in the Derethi priesthood can appoint someone to their own level, and Fionn is only an Ardith.
Yeah.
And so he can't appoint
an Ardith.
Dilof as an Ardith.
But it's also funny because Dilof's Ragnat.
Yes.
So
and we also learned here that the Erelines and the Fjordells probably don't look that much different because Dilof is Fjordell.
I think they do look different. I think Deloff has altered his appearance
Okay.
to look Aeroline.
Okay.
So that's something that Hrathen notices, is that he looks Aeroline.
Well, it says he sounds Aeroline. It was the words that he said, like,
Oh yeah, you're right.
and
The accent was slightly
yes,
off.
and Deloff tells us later, like when he's explaining everything to Hrathen, he's like, how hard is it to put on like a fake accent? You know, like
Yeah.
he's like, it'd be so much harder to actually learn this language of ours, like you believed that I did, rather than know the language and put on an Aeroline accent. You know?
Yeah. So he's kind of asking about what he thought of the head artist, and this is where we get introduced to Deloff's
Vehemence,
vigor towards Shudireth. He's a zealot.
yes,
and he's very, very passionate about it. And he's kind of like, he was a terrible head artist, and like he was stupid, and basically just bad mouthing my guy, Fionn. Thank you. And then he goes on to say, he granted me the title of artist and allowed me to keep teaching, which I wonder if Fionn, thank you, never actually did this.
Oh, interesting.
Because we hear that Deloff never uses the title. He always just considers himself a teacher.
Right.
So that covers it if like the other priests were asked if he got the title. And I wonder if this was just Deloff's manipulation, you know, trying to grab something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say I'm an artist, and hopefully,
which is so interesting to look at Deloff's like whole mission here, because he's higher in the priesthood than Hrathen.
Yeah.
And so you look at this and it's like, why is Deloff here? Is he here just to test Hrathen? Is he here to like it's such an interesting why he's like needing Hrathen to appoint him as an artist.
Yeah.
To get into the ranks when he outranks Hrathen. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like, because we know that Deloff plans on bringing the monks and just like destroying Arelon.
Yes.
In 2 months.
Yes. Specifically Elantris.
Yes, specifically Elantris. I don't really see the point of him being here other than like it's a book and he's a great character to kind of like move things along.
Right.
Sort of thing. But in the sense of what Deloff is trying to do, it almost seems like he's here just to toy with Hrathen.
That's what it feels like.
And nothing else.
Yeah.
So, Deloff, we don't like you.
We don't like you.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because Hrathen's met Deloff before.
Yes.
This is not the first time that they're meeting.
Yes. So Hrathen actually joined Deloff's monastery when he was training to move up in Shudireth. And it's kind of crazy that we get Hrathen kind of always remembering his time at the monastery, but then like not remembering that Deloff was there.
Yeah.
And Deloff was the one who actually convinced Hrathen to leave the monastery.
Right.
Yeah. So very interesting there.
So maybe he has changed his appearance.
Well, we know that Deloff here looks like a 20-something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. He looks like a young guy, but he's actually, I think, at this point in his 60s or 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. So we know
something's in the water at the core.
I assume it was probably through the invested arts that they use in the East. But yeah, so I don't know if he changed his appearance after he met Hrathen or before.
Yeah, I think I remember Hrathen saying that, like, he remembered him as an older man.
Oh, I know what it is. He recognizes his eyes.
Oh, really?
So once Deloff kind of says, like, don't you remember me, whatever. Hrathen looks in his eyes and is like, I remember those eyes. Which is interesting that, like, it seems like the invested arts on Cell
Don't change your eyes.
don't change your eyes.
Yeah, because we saw Raoden become an Elantrian, but his eyes are the same.
Yeah.
Which then you, like, look over at Roshar, and the invested arts change their eyes. Like, that's the... like,
that's an interesting
that's
parallel.
the only thing that changes on Roshar.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Wonder what implications it has. Maybe we'll make a theory on it.
But anyway, so he keeps going. He's talking to Deloff, and he eventually appoints him to be a full artist.
Yes.
He's like, this guy is devoted. He can tell he's a zealot. He can tell he's got a little bit of like extra. He's like, but he feels like he can channel it.
Yep.
So he makes him an artist.
I thought it was funny here when he makes him an artist. Hrathen goes, Hrathen congratulated himself on creating such a useful tool, which I just wrote, yay, go me! You know, like Hrathen just being like,
Hrathen does that a couple of times.
He does. He likes to put a medal on himself.
Yes.
And
for things that he didn't do.
Yeah. For honestly, I feel like he only does it after he's been manipulated. So, sorry, Hrathen. Like,
take the L.
Take the L.
But he realizes after he makes him an artist, like, Deloff, like, looks up and he sees, like, ambition.
Mm-hmm.
He says the passion was still there in Deloff's eyes, but there was something else as well, ambition. And Hrathen was like, was I just manipulated?
I wrote, yes, you were. So it's funny. He was like, yay, go me. And then a second later, he's like, oh, crap.
So what he then does at that point is he asks him, Ardith, are you sworn as any man's Odiv?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a separate thing inside the Derethi religion, where not even like the ranking of everybody, but any like man can swear any man below him as his Odiv.
Yes.
And it is Odiv and what is it? It's not Grogdet.
No. You will be Hrathen.
Hrathen.
Yes.
Odiv and Hrathen. And it's just a direct tie between those two, where it's basically like, if you serve Yadith, or Yadith's empire, because only one man can serve Yadith, but if you serve Yadith's empire, you serve him through me.
Yep.
And you are basically like tied to me, and you have to do anything I say.
Yep.
And so...
the slave.
Yeah, basically. Hrathen then swears
Deloff
as his Odiv.
Yep. Which, good move? Bad move? I feel like it ends up being a bad move, because I feel like that's probably what gave Deloff the idea to swear a bunch of Odivs himself.
Yeah, which he does. He goes in and he swears like 30 of the members of this chapel as Odivs to manipulate Hrathen later.
Hrathen then goes on to think, he's thinking about it all, and he thinks like ambition was the one emotion that Yadith would accept as readily as devotion, which is just interesting because typically the shard that you associate with the East and with Shu-Direth is Dominion.
Dominion, not devotion.
And it's funny that it mentions devotion here. That, of course, I think is because this book was written before the Cosmere was fleshed out, before it was really actually a thing.
Yes. So it is interesting to see there, but it also says that ambition is accepted, and if that is intentional, ambition is autonomy's like emotion.
Yes.
And so there are theories out there, some that I subscribe to, that say that Shu-Direth is a sect of autonomy. So we see Trellism on Scadrial, that is a sect of autonomy.
Yep.
There's theories that Shu-Direth is also a sect of autonomy,
which I think has some merit to it. We know that autonomy sends out avatars.
Right.
Basically just pieces of herself that do her bidding wherever.
Slivers.
Yeah, slivers, but they have like their own. They can have their own agenda, and they're not just like a hive mind.
Right.
Like they have their own personalities and everything. And so, you come to think that, what if Yadith is just one of Autonomy's avatars?
Right.
Because we know that in the second book of Elantris, one of the main points is that Yadith is returning.
Yeah. Going to return.
So I wonder if we will see Yadith being an avatar of Autonomy. I think that'd be cool, and I like that theory.
I think we probably will. I
think there's a good
wholeheartedly
chance.
subscribe to that theory.
Yep. So Hrathen then reads the scroll that Wern wrote in his own hand, and I just thought I read through it, and I just highlighted some stuff I thought was interesting. So it starts off, like, behold the words of Yadith through his servant Wern Wolfden the Fourth, Emperor and King. So here at the very beginning, it says High Priest and Son, which is talking about Hrathen.
Yes.
Your request has been granted.
Which means this is like Hrathen's idea for him to be.
Yes.
He wasn't sent. He asked to go to Erelon and save them.
Yeah. Which just kind of proves what kind of person Hrathen is he is actually here to save the people.
Yes.
Like, this is not, he's only here because his God told them to. He wants to save these people, and that's the kind of priest that Hrathen is.
We love Hrathen.
We love him.
I don't disagree with like what Hrathen's doing, like, objectively.
Hrathen, a lot of stuff that Hrathen does gets portrayed in this book as being kind of the bad guy in the situation, and I just don't. Like, having read this book 2 or 3 times before, I went through this time, and everything Hrathen did, I always saw, like, the good intentions that he had. And at times, I almost saw Sarene as kind of the bad guy. Because Hrathen is just trying to save these people.
Right.
Everything he does is to that end.
Right.
So
now, Delof, on the other hand.
Delof, bro. We'll get into Delof a lot, because dude's a piece of work.
Yes. Plenty to discuss there.
A couple other parts in here. He said, not much longer will I slumber within a tomb of rock, which I think Brandon's really borrowing some Christianity here.
Okay.
Talking about the tomb that Jesus was buried in. I just think that was he might have brought that over.
Okay, interesting.
And we do see throughout the book that whenever people are referring to Yadith, typically when you're thinking about like talking to God, you're like looking up to the sky. They will actually be looking down to the earth.
Really?
Because they believe Yadith is in a tomb of rock.
Oh,
rather than like, in heaven or whatever.
Interesting.
So we'll point that out. I just thought that was interesting through it. The letter then goes through basically saying like, you got to convert these people. You have 3 months to do it. And then it says the time for my ascension nears, my son. And it's ascension lowercase a.
Small a.
Small a. But the use of ascension is very important throughout the Cosmere. Basically, ascending, capital A, is
picking up a shard.
Or maybe something equivalent. I don't know if you would consider becoming a Dawn Shard ascending.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But we just know like capital A ascension is picking up a shard.
Yep.
So again, spoilers. If you haven't caught on by now, spoilers. But Taravangian picking up the shard of Odium.
Yep.
Capital A ascension.
Yep.
Taravangian picking up the shard of honor.
Yep.
Capital A ascension times 2.
Infinity times 2
Yeah,
is hard to say.
yeah.
But then you have instances of like
The Lord Ruler.
the Lord Ruler who did capital A ascend.
I don't know if he ever capital A ascended. He's
He-
small
oh,
A
no,
ascended.
yes, you're right. He's small A ascend.
He touched, infinity, but never like picked up the shard,
Yeah.
and he became a sliver. That is what, like,
Yes.
he was a sliver for
For
preservation.
a short amount of time.
Right.
Like after, like,
I think he's still considered maybe not.
no, I don't think so, because he's just like, he's a very strong Mistborn. Well, he's a
compounder.
he's
He's a full Mistborn and a full Ferrochemic.
but yes, he's a full Mistborn, and he has ferrochemical powers. And since he was the first Mistborn, he's just that much more powerful.
Yeah.
So I don't think he doesn't still hold any of Preservation's power, up until he dies.
So yeah. So like the Lord Ruler would be small A
Yes.
ascension, where he touched the divinity, it affected him, but he didn't pick up a full shard.
Yeah.
So you've got capital A ascension, which is picking up a shard, and then you've got lowercase ascension, which is touching the power of a shard, but not ascending to godhood.
Yeah.
basically.
And I think lower A ascension also includes just highly, I think becoming an Elantrian would be considered a lower A ascension.
Interesting.
I think we'd have to double check that.
Yeah,
But-
same thing with like return.
Yes, I believe a returned would be a lower A ascension.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So, that's the letter that he gets, and he's just talking about how if he doesn't do it, like the armies of Fjordell will come in, and we end this chapter with another banger of a line, Brandon.
But 1 second,
Oh,
because
okay.
right here, right after this thing, it says the time had finally come. Only 2 nations resisted. Fjorden had regained its former glory. Glory lost hundreds of years ago when the first empire collapsed. So that's what I was talking about earlier, where we had a prior empire.
But if you read the next line, once again, Arelon and Teod were the only 2 kingdoms in the known world who resisted.
All right.
So Teod,
You're right. I'll eat that. I'll eat those words.
Teod was never part of the Fjordell Empire. Right there.
Okay, fair enough.
And we end with another banger of a line.
They had resisted Jadith and his people in arrogant defiance for far too long. Hrathen was their last chance.
Someday they would call him their savior.
Banger line, right?
Banger line. Okay, it is now time for our second segment of the episode. This is the Cosmere question of the week.
Cosmere question of the week. Welcome. Once again, just want to point out to you guys, there's a lot of introduction going on in these chapters. We know that both parts of this episode were quite lengthy.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for sticking through it. Not all of our episodes will be this lengthy, unless you guys want them to be. Let us know in the comments. Should we keep making, 2-part episodes that are an hour and a half long each, or should we stick to hour-long episodes?
We can do it. We can find a way. These introduction episodes, or these introduction chapters, just had a lot of, hey, this is the first time we're seeing this, so we're going to explain it.
Pretty much.
It will be, we'll go through the future chapters quite a bit quicker once everything has kind of been introduced.
Yeah. But for this week's Cosmere question of the week, we've got more of a theoretical, just thought-provoking one, not necessarily one that has a real answer. But the question is, if if Kelsier were able to access another power system and gain the abilities of another power system, which power system would he most want to gain?
And
I want to know your thoughts first.
Okay. A couple power systems to consider. Obviously, Aeondor, but I think
we know that Elantrians are the most highly invested people
Yeah.
as far as like power systems go. Obviously, there's more highly invested beings in the Cosmere, but as far as like the base power systems that people can acquire,
Yeah. I think the biggest draw to Aeon Door would be, we know that Kelsier is looking for a way to come back from being a cognitive shadow.
right?
He is looking for a way to staple himself to a body so he can move around the Cosmere easier.
And you think Aeondor would do that?
I think Aeon Door, because of how many like you can have a base Aeon and then you can like specify very, very specific things.
Right.
I think with enough studying
Knowledge,
and trial and error that you would be able to.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
that's the draw to Aeon Door.
But we also see that he's already somewhat accomplished that goal. Do we not?
Somewhat. He's not fully. It's very restricted.
Okay.
But so that would be kind of the draw there.
Okay. The drawback being that Aeondor is very locational
Yes.
based, and
Yes.
it's hard to use throughout the Cosmere.
Yes.
And we know that Kelsier wants to travel through the Cosmere. I think that's the biggest drawback to what he's done now, is like he's restricted to Scadrial.
Yeah. He can't travel the Cosmere and, run whatever he's trying to run.
Right.
So then you have to think like, well, there's, the Rosharan magic system with Stormlight and becoming Night Radiant. I feel like that would be a draw because we know once you swear the 5th ideal, you're able to hold Stormlight perfectly within your body.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain.
You're probably right. So this Wind and Truth is, I think, the only book in the Cosmere that I've only read once.
Yeah, same here.
And
we read it.
we listened to it at like 2.5x speed.
We listened to it within like a week or two.
Yeah,
And
of its release.
Apologies if we get some of the Wind and Truth knowledge mixed up, but I'm pretty sure that once you swear the 5th ideal, you can hold Stormlight perfectly within your body, which we know the Ghost Bloods, one of their main things is trying to figure out how to package Stormlight to use on other planets.
Right.
The biggest problem being that anything that's holding Stormlight, it doesn't last long enough to really be useful.
Right.
So
other than, because there are perfect gemstones that never run out.
Yes, but those are like few and far between. I think if he wanted to be able to, hold a ton of Stormlight perfectly, he would want to become a Night Radiant.
Okay.
So I think Stormlight.
I think if he were to access, any of the other power systems, it probably would be becoming a Night Radiant.
Yep.
Which order do you think that he would like? Not which order fits his personality, but if Kelsier had his pick and knew
what powers he would
what
get,
powers he wanted, what do you think he would want? You're looking up the orders right now.
I am. I can't remember all of them. That's a good question, dude. Let's see. Obviously, we see a lot more of certain orders within the Stormlight Archive.
Right. We've seen a lot more on-screen time. Obviously, the most on-screen time of the Windrunners and the
Light Weavers.
Light Weavers.
We see quite a bit of Bondsmiths. I mean, there's only two, but
currently
they are POV characters and everything. I feel like the thing Kelsier's missing, because we know he's a full Mistborn, and so he has quite a bit of stuff. He doesn't need the Windrunner's power of like flight.
Right.
So it wouldn't be them. He doesn't need, obviously Skybreakers is out as well because they also use flight as one of theirs. Gravitation is one of their surges.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate to go with the obvious answer of Lightweavers.
That's your obvious answer?
Do you have a more obvious one?
Oh, absolutely.
Which one? Oh, Bondsmith?
Yeah. That's the obvious answer. Bondsmiths are the ones that combine all three realms together. And that's Kelsier's biggest problem right now of like not being able to like quote unquote access the physical realm. And so I feel like there's probably something within the bondsmithing powers that would allow him to do that.
I don't feel like that would solve his problem though. And I don't think we know that bondsmiths can do that off of Roshar.
Not, yeah, and not even that, but also I just think bondsmith is the most overpowered.
Oh, for sure. Obviously, you have to bond with a cognitive shadow of a shard, basically.
Like, we never saw Dalinar get anywhere close to what he could have accomplished as a bondsmith, because we see the
Herald.
Ishar?
Yeah, Ishar.
We see Ishar come in and just
wreck
him and like everybody he's with, and messing with people's spirit webs and their spiritual connections and all this stuff. There's so much untapped potential that Dalinar never touched.
Yeah.
And so I really do think that that is the Knight Radiant. Obviously, there's only 3 of them. It is the most overpowered.
So you think?
So I think it's the obvious answer.
You think he would bond with the
Night Watcher?
The Night Watcher?
Whoa.
Dude. Lord of Scars bonded with the Night Watcher?
That'd be wild, bro.
This guy's aura farming. That would be insane. Do you think if you bonded with the Night Watcher that you would be able to give out
boons and curses?
Yeah, grant boons and curses?
Probably.
Holy cow. We need to see that. Brandon?
Brandon?
Better be in the second era. We need to see this.
I'm really hoping that.
Sorry. I have all the orders pulled up, and I think we have a
contender.
A contender.
Okay.
In the Else Callers.
Okay.
Because you have the surge of transformation, like the Lightweavers, but you also have the surge of transportation.
Yeah.
Which I feel like being Kelsier, and his whole thing is he wants to start being able to travel.
Yeah.
Obviously, once he gets a full body and everything. I feel like transportation, being able to hop into the cognitive realm essentially whenever he wants, would be very useful to the leader of the...
That's true.
Yeah.
Also, when is Shallan gonna learn to utilize her surge of transformation? Because we see Yasna coming in at the end of... Is it Oathbringer? The Battle of Thalen Fields. That's the end of Oathbringer, I believe.
Yes.
Yasna comes in and destroys.
Yeah.
By just using her, not using her bond of transportation at all. No. Just using her surge of transformation.
Yep.
And we don't see Shallan do nigh unto anything with that surge ever.
No. We really don't. I wonder if that'll be a bigger thing in the next era.
I hope so.
Shallan really stepping into her powers more.
Yeah.
But we gotta wrap this up.
Gotta wrap it up. We could talk theory like this all night long. But
so, guys, if you have any questions or theories that you want me and Jax to talk about and theorize about, for our audio listeners, leave a review below and leave your question or theory there, and we will get into it and possibly we'll talk about it on a future episode. For people watching on YouTube, subscribe and leave a comment down below, and we will take a look at those. Jax, where else can they find us?
Yeah, you guys can also hop over to TikTok and Instagram. We post short clips there. We typically post them before the actual episode comes out, so if you want to see sneak peeks into the upcoming episode, those will be over on our TikTok and Instagram. And then you can post questions for us there too. We'll get into here.
Yep. And that's at Into the Coppermind on both of those platforms. And I think that's everything we got for you guys today. Join us next time as we dive into the Copper Mines.
That's a wrap.